Okay, so we're back with some AI, and as you can see, I was going to do some passive animals, forest animals. So I'm in our same scene as the zombies and stuff. It's going to come out of 2D, right? Because I want to reuse various logics. So by all means, if you haven't seen the zombie or the AI spawner, you should probably watch those as well. So first of all, we have our spawn system and we're going to want to populate that with, say, some animals. And when you're building logic, for example, the player, we send damage, right? And we're looking for tags. And we use that on the zombies. We also want to use that on the animals. We don't want to redo a pile of logic for every single thing we're making, right? We want to run this as a system, right? So we want that same health damage thing happening, right? So if I go to the zombie and you see health, and we have this, I more or less want to reuse this health and the way it damages on everything. So I'm going to make a couple different AIs, and there's reason for that. I'm not going to do the aggressive predators yet. I'm going to save that for another tutorial. But for example, I will do a deer. There's a deer. And maybe a rabbit. There we have 2. And the reason why I want 2 is because I also want to bring in, say, a need system and maybe a bit of a fear system. And if we, down the road, not in this tutorial, but down the road in another tutorial, say I bring in a fox. Well, I might want the rabbit to run from the fox, but the deer doesn't care about the fox. So we're going to show how we do that too. So first of all, I'm going to take off the magic because it's not needed in this situation. I'm going to unprefab those. So here we have 2 animals. So the first one we'll do is the rabbit, right? And the rabbit needs, where did I put our zombie AI? I'm going to literally copy and paste his health. Oh, excuse me. That's quite the sneeze. So, we have health, right? Now, obviously, health on a rabbit is going to probably be a lot less. And by a lot less, apparently it's way more, but now it's a lot less, right? Now, the other thing the zombie has is, if you remember, he has an FSM that just is health and has a multiplier to it. So I'm also going to want that. Now in the case of the rabbit, it's not a big deal. The rabbits are small enough, you're probably not going to have a whole whack of different bones. Because they're that small. I mean, if you want to do headshots and stuff on a rabbit, by all means you can. But again, it's really not that big of a deal on a rabbit. Right, so I am going to use probably just this guy here and paste that. We'll add a collider right to maybe just a sphere collider. All right, we'll put him a little closer. I might be able to get away with a capsule collider, actually, kind of looking at him. lots of times you don't want your collider to actually be too small, like fit them too perfectly, because it's lots of times it becomes too hard to hit. If it becomes too hard to hit, I mean, it might be realistic, but at the same time, it can be frustrating for players. So I think that's fine. Now, the other thing our zombie has is he has a tag limb, right? So I'm going to do that same thing on this guy. Layer AI. No, just that object. Tag limb. And now he's already has, you know, most of what he needs to die. We don't have an animator controller set up for him or anything. Just this is the default one that comes with the asset. But as you see, I mean, if I hit play now, I should be able to just by default now hit him. Where's our rabbit? Apparently I can't see him. Alright, so I don't have a layer for him. Okay, let's put him on a layer. Let's put him on the character layer. No, this object only. And this guy just needs to be able to be seen. There we go. So I got my camera so it can't see everything, right? So as you see now, I can hit him already. Like the blood spawns. You know, if I click on him, you know, his health is way down. Pretty simplistic. So let's create. Actually, might have already made it. Let's create a folder inside this one for AI. And in this, I'm going to create a rabbit. Filthy little rabbit. Ba-doop, just like that. Now, from our health, we can reuse these things too, right? We have a hurt, and we have a dead. That's it. So on the animator, we obviously need those triggers. We need a hurt. I don't know if this rabbit actually has a hurt, but we'll see. And we need a dead. We're going to need a bool is moving. All right. And so you know what, for the rabbit, well, yeah, we'll take a look at it in a second. Malber's animations. These are beautiful animations, by the way. If you guys don't have Malber's, they're awesome. All right, so we have what do you have under actions? Dig, eat, drink, rabbit, hang, death. It's kind of comical. Enters a hole. Hole stays. We're sitting inside the hole. To show you how we use that. We do have damaged, right? So here we have damages. And all right, so let's could run a blend tree. I'm not that worried about it right now. I'm going to put in one for now, and it's going to go from any state, and we want it snappy, right? So bring this down, and we want it to be based on a trigger called hurt. Pretty simple. We'll have death. Now, there's a death. That's kind of a better death. And make a transition to that one. And that one's going to be also snappy and based on dead. Right? And then we're going to need a idle. or well, a movement, right? So okay, first of all, we need a Nav Mesh Agent. Let's get that out of the way. Let's go back over to this guy. I mean, that Nav Mesh Agent is massive. We're going to go to a 1 for speed. Acceleration, stopping distance, we'll say 1. Radius, we'll go 0.15. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, height is, it can be a lot smaller, I suppose. So now we have that, and we need a FSM, and this could be our AI brain. So in here, if you remember, we have these things. So just make sure to adjust those. So in our AI brain, what do we want to do? I'll show you another way to do sight. Now, you could copy the zombie's style of sight for detection, and that works. You could also do a sphere cast. It's just another way of doing it. I don't know if I should maybe do that one. Like, for example, also show you another way. We'll just call it sight, or maybe I'll call it AI sight. Right. So here we could let's put it into a new state, force a habit, and overlap. Get overlap sphere, right? So the radius will be its sight radius. So I don't know, 15 maybe, 20. The array scene objects. Don't need to include owner, and we want to see the player. Make sure to get the one with the controller on it. So we need to be able to see player. Now this doesn't count for if the player's behind walls though. So if you go this route, after you get this sphere cast, you would have to do checks, right? So I don't know, maybe it would be better if we just mimic our zombie, right? So if you go to our zombie AI brain, we have this. Let's just copy that component, go to our rabbit, let's just paste the values. Of course, now it changed that, so I got to go back in here and change this guy. Lord Thunder and A. And obviously we don't want this to be the same, right? I mean, all of this is fine. The style we don't need. The rabbit doesn't have a bunch of styles. You know, this is just a player check, which is good. You know, if we're not null, we're going to do our distance check. You know, are we near the player? Not near. If we're not near, we do our weight. But if we are near the player, we do our angle check, right? And if we're looking at its general direction, we're going to do a raycast from a sight object. So we need a sight object. So let's create one of those. And I'm just going to move it up. Oop. Say about there. It won't actually be at his eyes. I'm going to put it a little higher. And that needs to be from that raycast. And we need to do that for the look as well. And if we don't hit, we go back here. Now we compare, just like we did in zombies. We could have a memory, that's fine. And here we have, now this is where things change, right? In the zombie, we're doing an attack sequence, we're chasing the player. We don't necessarily want to do that with the rabbit, right? So in the ways of the rabbit, we can see the player now. We can set a memory value, and you can use this as target, right? Which means we're going to need the same actions. So let's paste that as new, and then this guy is just wanting to do, again, he wants to check for sight. And that's all he's doing, which is fine. Right, so in this one, we say, okay, we have found the target, we found our player. We come over here, we do the Raycast. I put it like this because the Raycast shouldn't not hit, but, you know, safety. And if we can see the player, you know, we can just keep this loop happening. If we can't see the player, we run our memory. And yeah, okay, well that's just fine. This actually is FSM, works just fine. So it's in the actions. So we have the wander, and really the wander system is actually fine too. The attack though, the rabbit doesn't attack, right? So if we get this has target, you know, and we can change this attack to flee. Right now it updated along here, so it'd be a little less confusing. So we're going to flee. So we set is moving. But the other thing we could do is, I didn't do it with the zombies, but I can do it with this one, is if we're going to go into a flee state, let's set our speed, right? Set agent maximum speed. We'll say, you know, 4 or even 5. And okay, yeah. Actually, yeah, this will work just fine. This will work just fine. So we're going to get this. We're not going to set the destination to the target. That's changing, right? The distance is fine. We don't want to smooth look at the target either. And okay, that's got to change. Let's pull that out. So we're going to flee. So the bool, I'm actually going to change that out. We're not going to use a bool, I don't think. I think I'm going to pull that out. We're going to use a speed. Right, so if we go to the animator, let's set a speed, float speed. And over here, set animator float speed to 5, and we can put a damp time to it. Oh, too much of a damp time. Right, so we have a player, we've seen the player, and we want to run. So the way we want to, I'm going to get rid of this now just to clean it up. So we're setting speed, we're going to make sure we have the player, input, more or less match these two into the animator, and we're going to see if we have a target. If we don't have a target, then we can run away, or stop running. So what do? We need to get positions, and if you're on the eco, and I think the ecosystem's actually got problems right now, I can't seem to access it. Mind you, last time I checked, I haven't checked today. Let's check just because. Yeah, for some reason it's just not doing anything. I sent an email about it, but okay, so we have our current position. We need that every frame. And we need the position to the player. Player's position. We need that every frame. Vector 3 operator. And we want to take the, normally you would use player's position to get the direction to, so we're going to reverse it. Our position to the player's position, we subtract it. And we're going to get a vector. We can even use direction there, every frame. Let's normalize. Direction, multiply. This will just give us a certain distance that we're going to run to. Direction by, say, we'll say 20 every frame. And then vector 3 operator. We need another one of those. Move this to the bottom. And we're going to say direction and our current position. We're going to add them. And that's going to be to set new destination every frame. And now we agent set destination. Now there is an issue with this one, and I will explain it and show you how we're going to fix it. Is normally when you set destination and stuff, you only ever call it once, and that's because, I mean, performance-wise, you don't want to be telling the Nav Mesh Agent to keep flying at things. So we could either go in here and modify this one, or maybe you can create a duplicate and put it into the update, which is a little heavier on performance. The other method is we don't use every frames. Alright, so let's take away the damp time. If we don't use every frame on anything, take all that away. Make sure it's all just one frame. Okay, and now we can run this. It has a target, right? So if it's false, we can wander. We can let's wander. But if it's true, we need to run a cycle of this. Right? And all we're going to do is come back into it. But we want to put a wait, so we're not telling the animator or the Nav Mesh Agent to do this logic every frame. We'll just do it once every second. You can even bring that down point every 5 seconds. Right? That is our flee. I don't know what this is. Oh yeah, that's the attack. Okay, we don't want that anymore. Get rid of all this. We don't need it. Clean it up. This is a delay. This is a flee from. Alright, now the wander portion, that just gets the position need this. Set agent maximum speed to 1. We also want this same thing. To 1. That whole testing is fine. Which we don't even really need to smooth look at. We're not going to use root motion in this case. And we have idle. We'll adjust this idle as well. We'll fix that up in a minute. Alright, so we don't have the is move, right? We're going to do it a different way with the rabbit. I'm going to go over to these animations, and we're just going to make a blend tree. That's going to be our default state. Taking damage obviously comes down to this one. And we're going to have more or less 1 and 5. And you can put as many of these in as you want and lerp things together. So we have an idle. And we have a run. We have a walk. And all that does is now is we can, you know, he's got his basic walk and then he's got his run. The run doesn't seem very fast. I'm going to speed that up. That looks better. Alright. So let's just maximize play on that. So he's, you know, wandering. And if he sees, oh, he's got issues. He died fine. Oh, I think I deleted one of their animations I was using. Alright, so in the manager, I'm just going to turn this off for now. I don't want to actually spawn anything while I'm doing this. Alright, so the rabbit, okay. AI action, our current position to the player's position, our current, that, subtract, direction, normalize, multiply, add, oh, that's where we messed up, our current position, add the direction. Oh, it's an operator, never mind. It's to set to new. And maybe I do have it backwards. Alright, let's see where that is going. You know what? Let's bring our sphere back.
Come on.
This is my version of debugging. Our rabbit done gone crazy. Let's move this way down to the bottom. He's trying to run. Oops. All right. Why is he standing still? Oh. Ew. I'm going to flop these. Current position. Might have to multiply it by a negative. Go negative 20 on the multiplication. That is acting weird. So unless that is not happening in a proper order, our current position, direction, our current position, player's position, and if you've never seen these things, I'm going to put these things, I'm going to put this in action sequence so it runs, make sure it runs top to bottom. That's not making any sense. Alright, so let's just break this up a bit. Because A, we don't need to set that every time. We also don't necessarily need to get that every time. Our position, current position. Direction. That all looks normal. Move that up there. Let's get that out of here. This could be a copy and paste thing. Oh, yeah. Flee, make sure those go up there. Alright. I think I know what I messed up on. Let's make sure we get a point on the nav mesh. I think. So we're going to use to set new destination, 10, nearest point found. And I think that was the issue. Yeah, see, he's running now. He just wasn't doing it on the nav mesh. Alright. So, distance-wise, we have... He is just going to run. Let's up that. You know what? No. The bigger you make this, the more performance it's going to cost. So let's not do that. Let's take this up to 0.75. Alright, so we set our maximum speed, we get our target, bring that into the animator, find our direction we want to move to. At the end, we make sure we find that point on the nav mesh. Once we find it, go there, cycle. Right, now over here, it's just a matter of has target. So that's where this guy this guy comes in. Right, so memory, and if you watch this little rabbit, you know, we see him and he runs. And he's gonna run a long freaking way. So you can see player. And that's where we need to do some adjustments. I know they're under can't. No, he's under can see player. Hit can see player. Oh, okay. Hit object. All right, so that's something we need to fix on the other guy too. Because if you aren't hitting anything, this thing probably won't default on its own. Right? Set game object player to null. And we can probably bring this guy down. His memory doesn't need to be nearly that high. And can see 25. And this is going to cause us big issues. So let's fix that. We should make a variable of that instead of the dragging it in. Alright. Alright, so he's wandering. And now I have lost him. There he is, he's way over there. Okay, let's fix up some of his movement though. By upping that stuff. And okay, we don't need this. We don't need that. And let's fix this thing, get rid of that, we don't need that. A little debug. Right, so now, yeah, so he runs. But now, see how he can't see us from behind. So we got to fix all that. Right? So, something else be kind of cool is here we have random float. Move that to the top. Actually, no. Okay, let's check his sight out. Because while he's in here, he looks. bring his memory back up because we got this guy at a 10 seconds. And get rid of that. He runs, he does a cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That memory seems mega long. So we have sight. Oh, that Raycast seems to be going super long. Right? So I mean, he's still hitting me. Maybe we do need that 0 in there. Where's the rabbit? So if that's our rabbit, that's our, yeah, frick, that's like super far. All right, I'm gonna put that 0 back in there. That probably does need to be in there. So player is null. There is no player. Refine the player. Oh, he's not getting the player. That's the issue. Oh. Oh, I'm zeroing off the wrong frickin' thing. The hit object. Duh. I want to zero off the Raycast, not the player. Right, so he's running. Right, so he can't see. Yeah, he just. Alright, so I was just zeroing off the wrong frickin' thing. Alright, so there's that. And what else we want? We want sight actions. One of the things we should put in here is we run a distance check, right? Near the player, not near the player. I want another one of these before, and it's going to be under 5. So it's not. We're not going to use the grader. It's going to be very close. And if we're very close, we're going to skip the angle check and go straight over to the Raycast. So the player can essentially, if he gets too close, even from behind, we're going to see him and run. so we let him run. Off he goes. Alright, so he's idle again. I don't know why I'm holding down shift to sprint. It just feels like I should. Yeah, see, I got too close and he's now sprinting again. Alright, so that's good. Alright. So that's one part there done. Let's go over to the brain. Not the brain, to the action. So we have this side of things, right? The idle. And right now we have this idle. So what we want these, copy, paste before, and we're going to go 0. The other thing we could do is here we have our idle. I'll probably just use this one. Where is actions? So we have a drink, maybe a dig. What do you have for actual idols? Oh, there we go. Grooming. Alright, so let's put in that one might be nice. A grooming. Probably an eat. Let's do those. Alright. So if our speed is greater than, say, 0.5, we're going to come out of this thing. And to go into it, we need an idle trigger and an idle style. So go to each one like that and take away exit time, idle, and idle style equals 0, idle style equals 1, and idle style equals 2. Alright, so now we have a little variety for this little guy. Oh, keep going to the wrong one. Alright, because now we can go here and say, well, you can make whatever you want to call these things. I'm just going to use 1, 2, 3. Right. And I'm going to set these things up here. And we are going to add here a tiny weight of, say, 0.2. to 5. And we are going to set animator int idle style to 0 and finish. And same thing. Try to keep those together at least. If we're going to make it messy, let's make it pretty nice and messy. 1 and 2. Now, and let's bring this down a bit. 4 to 7. And let's bring up the chance of an idle. Bring those down. You can adjust those any which way you want. And what else do we want to see? We have hurt. We don't have a dead FSM or an attack. We do have an actions. We have a brain. We have health. Alright, I'm going to back up from this thing so we can watch those idols. We don't want him to see us. Let's come out of here. Follow our little bunny up the bunny trail. No idea where he's going. Oh, he's cleaning himself. Well, we could probably up this a little higher. And I think when he's doing his idle, we should slow him down. Well, we'll try 0.75. Right, so under the actions. And you can use variables for these and put them in here. I should have done that in the beginning. I'm also going to make his wander distance a lot less. He really doesn't need to wander that far, being a little rabbit. Except for apparently that one's going to be super big. And let's go 0.75. Alright, now the other thing that would be kind of cool to see on this guy, you see how we get a direction, right? Now, we could get directions. No. Transform direction. So our left and right. And let's float. No. So that direction, we have a left and right direction. Yes. Okay. Store result. That's a vector. vector 3 multiply, and right by, wow, we'll say 8. I don't know if that's going to be any good. 8. And then we're going to, at the very end, do another one of these vector operators. Copy, paste after. We're going to take our toSet new destination and our right and add them. Dear Lord, I have to clean these variables up. Okay, yeah, let's just go final. And then we're gonna have to move this guy down here to use the final. All right, and if I copy this, cycle, wander, so they're literally identical. And we do sequence. One, oh, we already have a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Perfect. 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's just going to alternate between these things. That one's a -8, that one's an 8. See how he's kind of dashing side to side? He's not running in a straight line. Pretty snazzy. And that's this thing, right? So maybe we want to go a little farther. 10, 10, take the delay up a little bit. And you know what? Let's random float these things. Random float. And you could just do it random float to begin with and just multiply by the random float. That would work, but you might get some weird results. So I think I would rather do it this way. Right, and then I can bring this guy over, stick him here, but go -5 to -15. And same thing, left to right. Now they're still identical, but one's going this way, one's going that way. But that might give him a little, so he's a little harder. He's just not going to run a straight line. Oh, I got him. Oh, he lived. Little bastard. There, now I got him. Sliding to his death. So let's fix that. Health. So we're dead. Population remove. We don't have that. We need to do that. Because we want a population on the rabbit. We don't want these things to spawn a billion things. Dead. Action brains that. The other thing we want to do is set. I don't know. You know what? Let's just do agent is stopped. That should kill that rabbit. just like that. Now we could harvest him or something if we wanted to. And change his name. Just a rabbit. And how do we want to do the harvest? We can click on them. Let's you know what? Let's go like this. Alright, do we have like a meat particle or something? Not good enough for me. Let's add a rigid body. Continuous. I'll just leave it like that. I don't need to actually collect it right now. There we go. Let's just do original prefab. Get rid of that. And we're going to create it. We're going to get position of ourselves. We're going to create it at position, stored as created, and add force. To the created. And we'll say impulse, let's do three random floats. Let's go negative 5 by 5, x, negative 5 by 5, z, and 5 to 10, y. X, Y, Z, space, world is fine, and int subtract, meet, subtract 1, int compare, meet to 0 if equal, destroy. Oh, well, yeah, we'll need that anyways. All right, so now here, let's get position. No, we could just do a create, I think. So there's numerous ways to do this style thing. Harvest meat. We don't need a parent. We'll just use ourselves as the spawn point. There we go. And under our player, right, get mouse button down, we're going to raycast. This is where things can get a little different now. So we know this guy is on another layer called interactions. So we need to add that. Interactions. So we hit. We're going to get tag. String compare. This is when you can almost start using a string switch. Paste before, and that's going to be, we had meat. Alright, because that's this guy, meat. So send the event of harvest. And take away the non-equal. So if it's equal, do this. If not, we're doing equal this. If not, do that. If that makes any sense. So harvest. What is harvesting? Send event, because we've already built it, is to harvest, hit object, and back. Simple, like that. Now this thing here, you may want to do a distance check when it's this, right? Distance is hit object and distance flow compare if distance is less than 5, okay, harvest less than, okay, you can still harvest. If not, no bad, no harvest for you. Okay, harvest and no. So harvest is there, and if it's a no, then we're going to want to go to one of these, right? So we would have to, let's just stick this down here. And no. Flow compare. No, we don't want to do that. We're just going to go no. And you know what? We're just going to go back. Alright, now let's try that. Play animations or do whatever. Oh, stupid little rabbit. See, now if I click on them, oh, I'm getting blood. We do have the harvest meat. It is in the right spot. I can't see it apparently. That shouldn't matter. Player. Shoot. It's probably because it is. Alright, hold on. So this guy can now see. We grant him the ability to see interactions. Alright, there we go. So, I'd be kind of curious on why that's producing a billion meat and not destroying itself. That's equal. Okay, yeah. Well, that was me screwing that up. So we need to give this thing an int. Let's say, I don't know, 5. And it looked like that stuff was a little heavy. So let's bring those down closer to say something like that. And then let's take this mesh renderer and get rid of it. We don't want to see it. Now let's try. Got a good solid shot. Now if I come back here, I shouldn't be able to hit it. Right? Nothing's happening. I'm clicking the mouse, I'm not even getting a particle. Oh, the rabbit disappeared. That's one difference we're going to need to do, is he does this. He waits for 10 seconds. We're going to want to up that rabbit because he's harvestable. He's not a zombie. You little bastard. There we go. All right, so again, we can't hit him. We get close. It's gone. So we need to do some alterations. Let's go like we have that. Destroy self. And now let's have a variable in here called my owner. So when we go to destroy, before we destroy ourselves, send an event to my owner. What's the name of that FSM? It's the same thing on this. Population remove to instant instant remove. Alright, so there. Now we're back to the rabbit. So on death, so we're going to do the normal remove, but we're also going to do this. Is in the harvest, the my owner, we're going to want to set there we go. So now we should have more of a, gotta fix that. Let's just put that right here. owner position, set position. Of ourselves, world owner position. I'm going to do that one every frame just to make sure that is bang on, and if I don't know, maybe your AI moves on a platform or something, who knows, it'll keep it close. Oh, okay, we need to do a slight adjustment to that. So let's vector 3 operator. So let's take owner position, add, you know, I don't know, 0.25, make a set out of it, and let's go to the set instead. The other thing I want to do is random torque. Is also on the created, and we can almost just use the same stuff. I don't see why not. Might want to make 3 new variables though. There we go. And we can harvest rabbits. Alright, so let's take our rabbit now, dump into our AI, get rid of him, come over to our spawn manager, let's go put rabbits here. Actually, you know what, we only want rabbits here. Zombies can come at day or at night. Alright, that will look a lot better. Turn those back on. Take this time. I'm going to ram this up to like, we don't need it to be crazy. Maybe I should have made it crazy for testing, eh? Not very smart of me, is it? The world is filling with rabbits, populating like rabbits. Duck and weave, duck and weave. It works pretty good. Alright, how long has this video been? An hour and a half. I still want to do my deer. Lower huntering. Maybe I should end it there and do the deer as like a part 2 to this one. I mean, the deer will be relatively the same. I'm going to add one little bit of a difference to it, and it'll be, well, a need system. Right, we're going to want them to go get water, possibly. Follow trails, but I think that freaking hour and a half is probably long enough. Alright, talk to you guys later.